Another good result for Hansi Flick. He's done so well in this competition since he came in at Barcelona, and it's yet another tick in that box against Albacete, who did give them a few scares, but in the end, Barcelona would come through. Luis Garcia was watching this game with us today. Some tense moments in the closing stages there, Luis.
Yeah, it was exciting until the last moment, and something that we were expecting from that fantastic crowd at Albacete. Spirit, the dream of becoming a semi-finalist on this beautiful competition. Wasn't in the end come true, but definitely they deserve something else, because in the last 20 minutes we saw an Albacete that wanted to get that equalizer, trying to get something. And Barcelona, with all the rotation, kind of lost the control of the game, something that I think it was the most important. They came out in the second half with a little bit faster, moving the ball a little bit faster than we as in the first 45. They found the back of the net once again. Again, I think that they should have put a few more goals into the goal, because the chances were there. But they allowed Albacete, and Ale was mentioning during the halftime, if you allow them to believe, the crowd will push you, and in the end you will have problems. That's what we saw in the last few minutes. Excitement, but in the end it was Barcelona who is going to go through to the semi-finals. I think they did a good job during the 90 minutes, but didn't get that control that we were expecting.
They knew it wasn't going to be easy today, Barcelona, didn't they?
Yeah, obviously this team beat Real Madrid there in Albacete, and you knew that the crowd was going to be intense and the crowd was going to be all over this team. And si se puede, yes we can. This whole idea of Albacete once again being able to beat a giant of Spain. When Barcelona scored the second goal, and I said at halftime, Barcelona scored a second goal, this game said match. But see, here's the thing. I'm sitting comfortably in a very nice, cool studio, thousands of miles away from the field. And it's one thing if I believe the game is over at 2-0. It's completely different if the Barcelona players believe that the game is over at 2-0. And the arrogance with which Barcelona players took on the last 25 minutes of the game is what made this interesting. Now you have Dani Olmo, who gets around the goalkeeper, has a nice, comfortable, easy pass for a tap-in for Ferran Torres or whoever it may be that was trailing the play. He decides to go with a Rabona attempt just because. And there were plays like that in the second half in which you haven't put the game away. You could put it away. You miss opportunity. Ferran Torres had chances. Marcus Rashford had chances. Lewandowski had chances. They don't put it away. And Albacete then believes that maybe there is something here for us. The chances then fell to Albacete. And that's when Hefte had his magical night against Real Madrid. Couldn't quite replicate that today against Barcelona. He had two clear chances, two clear opportunities, in particular the header. And a 2-1, stress levels high for everybody. Unnecessarily so for Barcelona. And it begs the question, how is Albacete, who seem to be playing at this level as they did against Real Madrid and as they did against Barcelona, how are they 12th in Segunda? Huh? They're unable to replicate the same energy, the same intensity, the same spirit, the same belief. They're not able to replicate that on a weekly basis in Segunda. And even though that they have won 3 matches in a row in Segunda since they beat Real Madrid, if indeed they're going to make it to Primera, they have to continue to play like this. The problem is that they don't play Barcelona every time, they don't play Real Madrid every time, and the motivation is not quite there nearly as much as it was today or was against Real Madrid. It's a great finish from Lamine Yamal, and he had a lot of bright moments today, but I must say as well, in the second half, there was a lot of Lamine Yamal that I did not care for, nor did I appreciate. The hands up in the air when somebody doesn't complete a pass for him, the walking back when the team is under pressure, just this body language that I don't want to see from a 30-year-old and certainly don't want to see from an 18, 19-year-old either. Because nobody got the ball to him or they didn't complete the pass that he wanted. What if every time that he missed a pass, which he did at times today, people were getting their hands up in the air as well? How does that work? I didn't like it, didn't care for it. And I love my young son, Lamine Yamal, and I've been very vocal about that. But in games like today, when you're grinding and you need to put the match away, this doesn't help.
Were you going to say something then?
Well, that's down to the more experience. As great a player as Yamal is, right? He's only a kid. So the experienced players on that Barcelona team, you know, your De Jongs and all these guys, those are the players who should be on people like him and not let him away with things like that. And those are the types of guys when Ali's talking about how at 2-0 they think the game's done, those again are the types of guys, your Lewandowskis as well, who should be going around the young guys. And anybody who looks as though they think the game's over and be on top of them. And that's the difference with this team. You know, this is a good team, but there won't be a great team because when you let that happen against better opposition, then you'll lose, and you'll lose at the wrong time.
What do you think of what the boys are saying about Lamine Yamal, Luis?
I 100% agree. We come from a different generation that this one that we are watching at these stages and this kind. We know what it is. Those moments where you feel that you are the best one, you are in a great moment, and everything around you and everyone around you is praising you and is rubbing you the back. So we understand that you sometimes can lose the what is underneath of you, the air. You feel that you are in a different level, and the behavior starts changing. And I agree 100% with Alec, talking about those moments of lacking of intensity, of willness, or whatever you want to call it. But it's not something that we want to see on a team that is all about energy, dynamism, intensity. If one player starts losing that is contagious and start getting into the other ones, raising the hand, complaining about everything, not running, not tracking, not pressing. That's something that we don't want to see. And Lamine Yamal is being fantastic behaving like this. Let's not forget they are massive, huge platform that a lot of kids look at, and his behavior can kind of drive those young players to become like this, and that's something that we don't want. And we are just talking a few moments, not many that we can complain, but definitely something that we haven't seen much and we don't want to see a lot.
And obviously Barcelona could do with the best version of him right now in this final stretch, LA.
Yeah, and I think from Ronald Araujo's perspective, it was important to have a game like this. I think he gets more out of this sort of game that ends up 2-1, that is stressful, that it forces him to defend through 90 minutes than if this game had been 5-0. Because then that's just passing the ball around the back, completing passes comfortably. The fact that he was pushed around a little bit and he was able to push back, that he gets a goal, that he goes and celebrates with Hansi Flick, because I think Hansi Flick was very understanding and accommodating of the situation of Ronald Araujo. And sometimes managers can be, let's just say, uncomfortable with the idea of admitting that their player has issues with mental health. It's not so easy for managers to, because you can't quite see that. You see a hamstring when you pull it. You see when you blow out a knee. You see when you twist an ankle, but you can't quite see what's going on in here. And if a player tells you that he's not quite there, it's difficult for a manager to deal with it unless you have an open mind and understand your players and understand their behaviors. And so I think the hug with Hansi Flick is one of those like, thank you, boss. And I'm here. You can use me. I'll do the best that I can, and I'm ready to play for you. I think today's game was important for Ronald Araujo.
That was definitely a thanks for trusting me hug.
Yeah.
You know, because at the end of the day, as Ali says, when you're on the outside, you don't know what's going on the inside. And the fact that he's put himself up for selection and the fact that he's played them tells you that it goes both ways. So that was a thanks box hug for trusting me.
Yeah.
Rashford needs to improve, needs to make a step forward. Once again today, he was on 1v1 situation a couple of times. He missed it. We saw again that on open spaces he kills you because he's so quick and so fast. But definitely, I'm missing that right time at the right place, and a little bit of. I understand also because he doesn't have the regularity. He doesn't have the consistency in playing. Playing 5 games in a row, it will make a big difference. But with Rafinha in top form, it's going to be difficult for him, so he needs to pick those moments, these opportunities, and show the manager that he's going to be ready whenever he receives the call.
The issue with Marcus Rashford is the issue that has been with Marcus Rashford over the course of his career, is that he gives you enough to think, man, this guy could be something for us. And then it doesn't quite happen. And just in terms of him getting himself in a position to score a goal today, he runs right through the middle. It's a good ball from Dani Olmo. It's everything to shoot at. And not only does he miss it, but he misses it by a lot. And that is, I think, the sort of thing that drives you crazy if you're Hansi Flick or any manager who has had Marcus Rashford in the past, because you're seeing the physical attributes, you've seen the skill set, you probably see it in training quite a bit, and you're thinking, all right, that's going to show up over here in the field. and it doesn't nearly as much as it should. And that has been the common denominator of Marcus Rashford wherever he has been, wherever he has played. This conversation of that he could give us more. He could be more than what he has been. Although they're happy with him at Barcelona, but there is that sense that there's more there. Well, there is, but he doesn't give it to you.
Stevie, what do you think of this whole situation that Hansi Flick feels there's more there, but he's not quite getting it from Marcus Rashford?
I find it hard to argue with Ali. You know, Marcus Rashford in his career, never mind just at Barcelona, has shown at times what he's capable of, but more times than not, it's not there. But there's enough of it to keep thinking it's going to happen. And he kind of, you know, the chance today, the one at the weekend, he pulls you into a situation where you're like, he's going to score. But he doesn't. And then it's a whole process that has to start again because then he doesn't play for a couple of games. So then he has to get back up to speed. It's kind of one of those, it's like a revolving door that's never going to stop actually, and Rashford's going to be the guy. For all his quality and his pace and his football brain to get himself in those positions, that finish. This is not a kid we're talking about. This is an experienced international football player who's been round the block, and we're still talking about what if. So, still what if.
Did we learn anything new about Barcelona today?
Well, no. We said in the pregame they're going to give up a goal, and they did. They're going to give chances, and they did. They're going to create chances, and they did. They had some issues scoring goals against Elche, even though they scored 3, which showed how many chances they actually missed. So they missed more chances today. Not a whole lot about Barcelona that we didn't already know. My concern is that winning this sort of games kind of sweep aside issues that continue to build over time with this group. And eventually you will run into something that Stevie alluded to. You will run into a situation in which you are playing against better opposition in a moment that truly, truly matters and a defining moment in a season. Talk about semifinals of Champions League. We're talking about defining moment in La Liga, and you're not quite able to be solid defensively, to hang on to control of the game, to put the ball away when you need to put it away and put the match away with a goal. That changes the whole feeling of a game. Those are the things that we want to see from Barcelona with more consistency, and I'm sure that Hansi Flick does as well. This is a tremendous team with tremendous talent going forward. Defensively, they have their issues. They don't seem to care about that all that much. None of that has changed, and none of it of what we saw today was evidence that it's going to change anytime soon. This is who they are.
Yes, well, we'll find out at the weekend. Luis, thank you so much for being with us. We will be casting our eyes over Barcelona once again this weekend as they are back in action in La Liga. They're up against Mallorca on Saturday, bright and early on ESPN Plus, 9:45 a.m. Eastern for all the build-up. Following dates, Valencia taking on Real Madrid, 2:30 p.m. Eastern for the build-up to the live game there. Arsenal finishing this game 1-0. They advanced 4-2 on aggregate, bringing that 3-2 lead from the first leg. Stuart Robson was watching for us today. It's Arsenal booking their spot in the final. What are your takeaways from this game, Stuart?
Well, you just summed it up with the highlights package there. There wasn't too many highlights. It was a strange approach by both teams. I mean, Arsenal, I thought, would come out all guns blazing, but they didn't. They just kept the ball at the back and kept it in midfield. There was no forward runners. Chelsea came out thinking, well, we're going to keep it tight and we're going to play 5 at the back. We might press every so often and stop Arsenal scoring. So it was a stalemate in the first half. There was hardly any shots on goal. It was all played at a very slow tempo. It was all about possession football. There was not enough forward runs from either side, not enough forward passes. So it really drifted. And if anything, Chelsea had the better chances in the second half without having a one-on-one with the goalkeeper. They had a couple of moments when the midfield player, Fernandes, got on the ball. He had 3 shots from sort of just outside the box, which could have flashed into the top corner if he'd hit them well. But overall, it was a fairly tame game. Chelsea, I've seen them under Rosinia, and there's a lot of talk about what a great job he's done. And he's done an okay job. But there's been times when there's been an absolute shambles in the first half of games. They were against West Ham, they were against Napoli, and then he's had to make changes, and they've played better. Today, they defended quite well. They stopped Arsenal really playing without Arsenal really posing too many threats. But they didn't have enough in the front areas, and they didn't show enough guile, they didn't show enough determination to go and get at Arsenal and get the win they needed. and he did some strange things. Delap played out on the right wing, a centre forward. We thought he'd play up front with João Pedro. He played out on the right wing. I have to say, it wasn't an enjoyable game to watch, and Kai Havertz just scored when they were in the very last minute of the game. So not a great game, I wouldn't say.
What did you think of it, Stevie?
Well, it's a semi-final, and at the end of the day, semi-finals are not about playing silky soccer. It's about getting a result. And at the end of the day, again, you have to say that Chelsea were the team that had to get the result because Arsenal had gotten themselves ahead from the first leg. So the onus really is in Chelsea. And Arsenal, we've complained all season that they found it hard to break teams down, and they couldn't break Chelsea down in the first half. But again, at the end of the day, if you're ahead in the tie and you're the one pushing the game and you just can't break through, you're going through, you're winning at the end of when the final whistle goes. So to me, this, particularly the second half, was on Chelsea. You know, if you want to keep it tight like they did, and then you want to bring on your Palmers and Estavals, but you got to bring them on at half time. You got to do part of the job in the first half, and in the second half, you've got to give yourself time to win the game. You know, there's no point in bringing the cavalry on with 15, 20 minutes to go and then run out of time. That doesn't make any sense. So, listen, if I'm Arsenal, I couldn't care less that I didn't play any great type of football to watch. But we won the game, and if you're Chelsea, it's a semi-final. You've missed out on playing at Wembley in a cup final, possibly because the manager was a little too scared to begin with and didn't give you enough time to actually win the game in the second half.
It was a weird game. It was a weird feeling to the game. In that, yes, Chelsea has a responsibility because they need to win the game, and yet they, at least in the first half, they seem to be far more conservative and they were just concerned to, hey, let's get it to halftime at zeros and see if we can do something in the second half. Whereas Arsenal, I think they felt, and we feel, they're the better team, and it's almost as if because they're the better team, they have to go and create something, but they don't feel all that comfortable doing it. And so it became a whole lot of nothing in this match. So when Robert calls it tame, I'll call it boring. Boring is what it was. It was just in the middle third. It's missed passes, set pieces. It's the only thing that gives you drama when you're Arsenal. There was certainly a shout for a penalty kick on João Pedro at the back post where Saliba is just grabbing him to the ground. That wasn't given. That may have changed the dynamics of the game or the personality of the game. Middle third nonsense, fouls, stoppages, complaining to the referee, booing from the crowd. Nothing of quality to actually see on the field, and not that they're here to entertain us, because Arsenal, all they want to do is get through to the next round. But Chelsea never really pushed. Yeah, there were a couple of things here and there, but never really actually pushed Arsenal to a situation of being under pressure, kind of hanging on, grinding. That wasn't the case. Chelsea wasn't strong enough offensively, and Arsenal did just enough.
And then obviously it was Kai Havertz scoring the winning goal in this game, Robbo, and that starts a whole new conversation, doesn't it?
Well, it certainly does, because Gyökeres once again, you know, he did okay. But there was in the commentary, the commentator said he's touched the ball once in the first 30 minutes. That says that he either wasn't making enough runs, they weren't looking forward enough, which was probably both right. But you want him to be more involved in the game. He's got to run the channels. He's got to be stronger when the ball was played up to him. When the ball went the other way, João Pedro did more than Gyökeres did. Gyökeres, it doesn't seem to be able to hold the ball up at the moment and bring others into play, whereas João Pedro did it quite often for Chelsea. So there's still some work that he needs to do. Jesus didn't come on, and Kai Havertz came on. He was only on for 10 minutes or so, and obviously scored the goal. But you know, last year we were saying he wasn't a good enough centre forward. Are we still saying that Gyökeres hasn't replaced him well enough, and maybe Kai Havertz plays at centre forward again? That's the reason we said that Arsenal didn't win the title last year, because they didn't have a proper centre forward. They've got a centre forward at the moment, and they've bought for a lot of money that's not quite at the races.
He's been given 6 months. Basically, Mikel Arteta has said, right, you've got 6 months to separate yourself from Jesus, Havertz, Marino, anybody else who thinks they can play through the middle. I'm going to give you this. He's had probably, 20-odd games?
Well, it felt like you were one of the people defending him more on this panel
I was
as well.
trying to defend him to begin with, because the way Arsenal played doesn't exactly help a a centre forward with balls in the box early. But I still thought that he was good enough to score goals. And I thought he was good enough to actually try and, get some goals for himself out of nothing. But the answer right now is he hasn't been able to do any of those things. And so he hasn't been able to separate himself from the other three that I told you about. And so if you're Mikel Arteta, you're actually, before every game now, you're going, right, who do we start as centre forward? Is Jesus fit enough now? Is Havertz fit enough now? Do we play Moreno or do we play Gyökeres? I mean, that's what's going through Arteta's head right now.
That heat map that we show there from Gyökeres is embarrassing. 70 minutes, 69 minutes that he played. 10 touches, only one completed pass. And while I understand that Arsenal are not a team that play through the center forward, the heat map itself tells you that the movement isn't exactly all that sharp or abundant for that matter. That's embarrassing, Stevie. 10 touches in 69 minutes.
I mean, the centre forward, he's only got one touch in the penalty box.
Well, yes, and he's nowhere near around the penalty box. And look, I think sometimes as a center forward, you get frustrated by the lack of service, and that frustration amounts to you stop making the runs. And that's the worst thing that you can do as a player, because you cannot lose sight of the fact that you can be useful to the team in other ways. And while I advocate for center forwards to be patient, to allow the game to come to them, to not force it, not force the touches. If you have touched the ball once in the first 30 minutes, I'm going to the center back and give me a ball, give me a touch. I want to feel what this is like. Can I please touch the ball one time? Let me participate in the game because I need to feel alive here. You guys are leaving me for dead. And that, I think, speaks to the inactivity of Gyökeres, and you see it in the heat map. There isn't a whole lot of movement. It's one thing to not to be touching the ball, but the movement, and you put those things together, and that's an embarrassing heat map to look at.
He actually probably has gone, or should be going to the back of the queue, because we're talking about Arsenal not being a team that puts the ball in the box for a centre forward. So that means that if that's not happening, as a player, you have to contribute somewhere else. And clearly, he's not contributing anywhere else. Whereas you look at Jesus or Havertz, in particular those two, outside the box they absolutely contribute. So I said he hasn't separated himself. He actually might be at the bottom of the pile right now.
Robbo, Arsenal play Sunderland on Saturday. Who starts at centre forward?
I think he'll probably go with Jesus if he's fit, because he's a confidence player, Jesus, and he's scored several goals recently. He looks quite sharp. He looks hungry. He looks as though he's got his confidence back. We go back to Gyökeres. Is there anything that Gyökeres? I mean, he's okay at a lot of things, but is he better in the air than Marino? Is he better in the air than Havertz? Is he quicker than Jesus? Is he better at holding the play up than Havertz or Marino or Jesus? I don't think he is. So there's not one aspect of his game that you say, we've got to hang our hat on that and we're going to put him in the side. So I think if he's fit, Jesus, a confidence player, has been in goal-scoring form recently, I think he starts the game.
Okay, so we do know that it will be Newcastle or Man City that they face in the final of the Carabao Cup. That's how things are looking so far in that tight City with the 2-0 lead. And on Wednesday, they will try to see it out. Now let's take a look at Manchester City's transfer window. They've been busy in January, namely Antoine Semenyo and Mark Guéhi coming in as arrivals. And Pep Guardiola was asked if he was happy with the January transfer window for his club, and he was a little bit jokey when he answered.
I'm a little bit sad and upset because in net spent the last 5 years, we are the 7 in the Premier League. So I want to be the first. I don't understand how the club don't spend more money. So I'm a little bit grumpy with them. But with that position like we won in the past, because we spend a lot, now 6 teams have to win the Premier League. And the Champions League is the FA Cup because they spend more in the last 5 years. This is a fact, you know. It's not, I would say, an opinion, you know. You can say an opinion, for example, like you say, you play good or play bad against the Spurs. So we can be agree or disagree. And but that is facts. So good luck for the 6 teams who are in front of us, spend net in the last 5 years. Let's go.
I mean, he's right, obviously. He had a little bit jokes.
I tell you what.
here.
He's a great coach, right? But he's not a comedian.
No, he's not. But he does seem...
You were waiting for the punchline.
That was horrible.
He does seem, though, to be pushing back on the narrative that City buys their success, Stevie, saying, you know, these guys should be doing this if they've spent all this money, because that is what used to be said of them. Oh, well, with all the money they've spent.
It's kind of hard to see where he's coming from. You know, this time last year he was talking about he doesn't want any players. Now he's trying to be sarcastic, saying that, you know, they haven't actually spent that much money, so we're actually doing all right.
That joke did not hit with Stevie, did it?
I mean, where does he want us to go? What does he want us to think about where they stand? I don't know where he's coming from. I don't know what makes him happy.
Excuse the pun, because I really don't mean it here, but he does seem to have a little bit of a pep in his step right now. It feels as though he feels like the tide is turning for his team when it had been going against them. Yes or no? He feels a bit more punchy in these
I think he's more punchy because he knows that his team is no good.
He's deflecting.
Yes. Let's not talk about the details of why my team gave up a lead in the weekend. Let's not talk about the details of why my team has been underperforming. Let's not talk about the fact that my group that was supposedly had turned a corner had now gotten back into the cul-de-sac and are not a team that you can trust to get results every weekend, which is what Manchester City had been in the past, previous to last season. That we always thought, you know what, they're going to go on this run in which it's 15 matches in which they win it all, and that's how they win the league because nobody else can keep up with them. Now that if you're Manchester City, you just want to win game this week, and we'll win another game next week, and that there is a winning streak. And hopefully we can keep that going.
You know, I think it was only a couple of weeks ago we did something. We were talking about him in a similar fashion because he was coming out with this sort of sarcastic nonsense again. And it is pretty clear. He's more than happy to talk about this nonsense than he is about his team. Because his team isn't great right now. And his team might be sitting second. And they might be apparently the biggest challenge to Arsenal.
Kind of.
But they're not. They're really not. They're not in a good place. And nobody's scared of them anymore. That's what he's doing.
Even with these new players coming in.
Nobody's scared of playing against Man City.
You know who he sounds like? And he would love to hear this. He sounds like Mourinho. He is deflecting like Mourinho. The manager with whom he had so many run-ins, while one was at Barcelona and the other one was at Real Madrid, he sounds exactly like Jose Mourinho when his teams were not performing at a high level, and then you get a little punchy, as you just said, with the media. You get a little sarcastic, and you don't actually answer the question.
What do you think, Robbo? Is he deflecting?
Absolutely. Managers never start being sarcastic and never going at the press and saying stupid things when their team's doing well. They don't need to. The team's showing exactly how good he is when they're on the pitch and they're winning games and playing really well. But he's lost that little bit with his team. He knows they haven't got the authority. That's the word I would use. They haven't got that authority on the pitch anymore. They should have absolutely murdered Spurs at the weekend, gone 2-0 up, and then they couldn't keep that discipline. They couldn't keep the control. They couldn't keep their authority in the second half. And that's what he can't seem to change. And that's why he's getting stroppy. That's why he's deflecting to other things. Because at the moment, as the guys have said, Manchester City, you're not quite sure what sort of performance you're going to get from them at the moment, whether it be in the Champions League or the Premier League.
I'll tell you who'd love definitely one of those players that Pep's just got his hand on is Liverpool. We know the defensive crisis they're having right now with the injuries. Just a reminder of that, including those at the back. Frimpong, Bradley, Gomez and of course Leone, but they have been active in the window. It's just that the player that they're bringing in is coming in. In the summer it's Jeremy Jacquet, the 20-year-old, a French under-21 international. He's going to remain at his club in France for the rest of the season. So the idea is there, but the timing would have been a bit better now, wouldn't it, Stevie?
Yes, unfortunately it's not an ideal world, and this time of the year it's really tough to get proper players because, you know, for a player to go and play for a Liverpool or a City or a Real Madrid, they have to be of a certain level. And in the middle of a season, regardless of what country you're in, teams don't want to let the players go at this time because they know they can't get a replacement. And so the best thing for Liverpool right now is to make sure that they get this guy for real and for good at the end of the season. Yeah, I mean, I don't know a huge amount about him. I looked at some highlights, but obviously, you can't find highlights of players like him doing things wrong. Every highlight is spectacular and last-ditch challenges and
Maybe that's all he's done.
Well, let's hope that is true. But I'm a little surprised, but I understand it. As I said, if you're going to bring somebody in this time of the year, it has to be somebody who can actually play at that level. And that's not easy to do. So the second best is you get him for the end of the season. And you're lucky that you've got somebody like Gravenberg who could do a job if Kanate or Van Dijk get injured. But it's not a great place to be. But it's a tough window to get proper players in.
How worried should Liverpool be for what remains of this season, Robbo?
How worried should they be? I mean, they're getting a bit more out of Florian Wirtz. He's now starting to show what he can do. He was man of the match at the weekend. Mo Salah hopefully comes back and shows that he's got that little bit of pace again. There was one run he made in the game at the weekend when he got away from his marker and then hit a bad shot with his right foot. But maybe he's going to find his form again. The midfield, I mean, Szoboszlai has to play at right back, which I don't think is ideal. Yeah, they've got one or two problems at centre back. If they all get together and if they can play at their very best, they're still a good team, a very good team. But they're inconsistent, just like we were talking about Man City. You don't know whether Liverpool are going to be at their best week in, week out, and there's still some games that you fancy them to lose. So they are where they are at the moment. I think that's probably where they'll finish.
What's the best you can hope for what remains in the season?
Just get into Champions League. Get in the Champions League. If you can't win the title, then you have to be in the Champions League. And they're capable of it, but as Robbo said, sometimes you watch them and you're not quite sure who you're going to get.
Okay. Make sure to join these guys. They'll be answering your questions on the latest edition of Extra Time. You can check it out over on our YouTube channel. Kirkland was at the game for us today. Got a little bit tense in those final stages, Alex, but Albacete didn't manage to pull off another giant killing in the end. What stood out, and is there anything to report on that you saw after the game?
It was close, wasn't it? And I was speaking to the Albacete coach and a couple of players after the game, Kay, and you could see it in their faces and hear it in their voices as well. They felt like, of course, they felt, proud with how they played and happy, I think, in general with how the night meant. But there was a little bit of disappointment there as well, a little bit of regret they didn't, go the extra mile and push Barca and score a second goal because they had some chances at the end. There were some big moments at the end they could have got another goal. So a little bit of disappointment from their point of view, but overall, yeah, hugely proud of their Copa del Rey campaign this season with everything they've achieved. As for Barca, I think a couple of really notable things. We heard there from Flick about Ronald Araujo, a big night for him, an important night for him. Captaining the side, getting a start, scoring a brilliant goal, took that header so well. The hug with Hansi Flick afterwards, that's important for Araujo, I think. And the other one is Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford involved in both of Barcelona's goals in the build-up, pressing, winning the ball back, the kind of thing that we see Rafinha doing when he's playing. He's absent, of course, through injury. Rashford comes in, played a point in that first goal, set up the second goal as well. And of course, we heard Flick in the build-up to this game asking for more from Rashford, saying we're happy with what he's seeing, but I want to see even more. And I think this was a really encouraging performance from Rashford as well.
Alex, you seem to be losing your voice a little bit. Were you cheering for Albacete's late goal there?
I wasn't cheering. I've got a bit of a sore throat. I had some strepsils on the go during the game. But no cheering. Strictly impartial, as always, here on ESPN.
Yes, and we're impartial when it comes to which cough lozenges we use as well. There are other brands out there, just so you know that. Thanks so much, Alex, for being with us. We'll hear a lot more from you as La Liga continues throughout the season. But the Copa del Rey will continue as well. Tomorrow, we've got Valencia against Athletic and Alaves against Real Sociedad. Coming up on Thursday, it's Real Betis against Athletic. Games live on ESPN+. Welcome into the latest edition of Extra Time. It's been a cup extravaganza today. And the most exciting of those games was not Arsenal against Chelsea, that's fair to say. Stuart Robson watched that game for us. He's joining us now to answer your questions. We've got Ali and Stevie here in the studio.
You want to tell the people about the change of point of attack on your hairdo today? What's different? Tell us. We can't quite figure it out.
The wonderful hairstylist, Daniela, parted my sides on the other side that I'm used to. It's not my usual sides.
Right.
Stevie noticed it. He always notices these things. It feels like I'm driving on the other side of the road. It feels really weird, and it will not be happening again. So
You've got to try.
we've got to try. We've got to try. Yeah. Yeah, I've gone to the other side today.
But gone to the other side means that when you do that with your hair, it's odd, it's weird.
Well, it's weird because it's usually I usually put it over this shoulder, but the parting's over here, so it's these hair things. Sorry.
Well, I cannot relate. That's why I'm asking.
It's on to the wrong one.
Yeah.
Robbo's not going to help you out here either. Sorry, guys.
Whoa.
Oh, that's nice, isn't
Two of
it?
them.
I've just got a bigger part in. I've just got a bigger part in than
Two of
you.
them have got a pattern on the left, on the
right
right,
at the
and
back.
the centre.
Down the middle too, right down the middle.
Like Pep Guardiola, I'm just stating facts, okay?
All right.
Okay, Robbo, if your team was playing in a Champions League final tomorrow and the following were your options in the midfield, who would be the first to slot right into your playing 11? Declan Rice, Frankie de Jong or Vitinha?
Depending who we were playing against, but Declan Rice, I think, at the moment is the all-round midfield player because he can defend, he's a good athlete, he can get up and down the pitch, he scores the odd goal here and there, he's great at set plays as well. If I was looking for control of the game, I'd go for Frankie de Jong because over the last few weeks, without Pedro playing in the last 2 or 3 games, he's been magnificent. And Vitinha, we know, likewise, like to control the game and he'll get forward and pick a pass. But if you're asking me which one I would build my team around, it would be Declan Rice.
Okay, next question is for you, Stevie. What did you make of Chelsea listening to Craig's idea of keeping more attackers up the field when Arsenal had corners? It seemed to work.
Well, I think it was only a matter of time that somebody did it against Arsenal, or tried it against Arsenal. Because clearly what every team that Arsenal have been playing, whether it's Champions League or Premier League, have been trying to just put men in the box and try and make it uncomfortable for Arsenal as much as Arsenal make it uncomfortable for them. And it's not working. So you've got to think about it rationally. And that's how to do it. You stick men forward because nobody, regardless how good they are at set pieces, is going to let 3 of the opposition stand on the halfway line on their own. So you have to bring 4 back. You have to bring 3 to pick up and 1 spare. That's the rules defensively. Whatever they have, you need 1 spare. So they did the right thing. It was still a 50-50, but they didn't score from a set piece. So let's hope other teams have got the courage to do it.
I was just going to say that. Do you think we'll see more teams doing it now then?
Well, yeah. The thing is that Arsenal seem to be so dominant on set pieces. One, because of the quality of service. Let's not forget about that the quality of service is really what makes the difference here. But it's also now gotten into the heads of other teams. And so other teams are not attacking set pieces when they're defending. They're just so concerned about the service and the run and where they're coming from. And you forget about attacking something that is very basic here, the ball. Don't forget about attacking the ball. It seems like teams that are defending against Arsenal are on their heels all the time. This is a way of actually pushing back. You know what? We're going to put some people over there and see how you react to it. Now we're making you think just as much as you're making us think about you.
You know, the key for Arsenal in every single set piece is to take the keeper out of it. I mean, that's whether they play it to the back post, the near post, the middle. The most important thing for them is to nullify the keeper. And so when you play with 3 forwards against an Arsenal set piece, you're nullifying what Arsenal, or the amount of... When there's such chaos in the box, it's very easy to get away with fouling the goalkeeper, basically, to make it simple. But when there are less people in the box, there's more space, there's more clarity for the officials, and you can see everything clearly. And it also gives more space for the goalkeeper to use the advantage of being able to punch it or catch it or whatever it is with his hands. So that's what you're doing. If you can nullify them stopping the goalkeeper, you're taking a huge percentage away.
I also think that you're taking... I agree, Steve. I also think what they're doing is trying to take some of the initiative away from Arsenal in the set piece. In that, right, it almost feels like all of us are hanging on, hoping that we can survive an Arsenal set piece. Now, in doing this, Chelsea are saying, we can actually use one of your set pieces for an attacking opportunity for us. And it makes, I have to imagine, as it did in the game, that it makes Arsenal mindful of what other teams are doing, instead of everybody just be concerned and worry about what Arsenal are going to do and having no response.
Do you think we're going to be seeing more of it, Robbo?
Well, apparently they're not the first team to do it. There's been 3 other teams that have tried it, and whether it's worked for them or not, I think Brighton, Monaco was another team that did it to a fair degree of success. But yeah, I think more teams will do it. You've got to do something. You can't allow Arsenal to keep doing what they want to do. And Ali's absolutely right. Everybody's frightened. Oh, it's a corner against us. We're going to stand still. Arsenal are going to get players in the box. We hope the goalkeeper can come and get it, but he can't. And they concede. Now they're taking the initiative away, and the player that's taking the corner's now got to think a bit more. If they've got 3 players, I can't hit that first man. If he heads it clear, they'll be on the attack. So yeah, it's a good ploy, but it needs to be successful.
Nearly €500 million spent on transfers in the last 2 years. How long can Diego Simeone go without delivering any silverware till the Atleti management decide to pull the plug on him?
As long as Diego Simeone wants to stay around. This is not the usual relationship manager-club. This is Diego Simeone is Atletico Madrid, and Atletico Madrid is Diego Simeone. I think before Atletico Madrid were to pull the plug, I think Simeone would take himself out of the picture. I don't believe there's a scenario. It would have to be extreme in order for Diego Simeone to be shown the door at Atletico Madrid, regardless of the money that is being invested. And what Diego Simeone and Atletico Madrid fans and those that defend Diego Simeone would say is, well, what is success for Atletico Madrid? Getting into Champions League, first and foremost. And they're going to do that once again this year. There's a possibility they're still in the quarterfinals of Copa del Rey. There's a possibility they get into the semifinals of Copa del Rey and maybe even go on and win that competition. They're still in Champions League. And so how many trophies are there realistically available for Atletico Madrid? Realistically available. Copa del Rey, and that's it. You may argue Supercopa de España, maybe. That's already gone. Copa del Rey still in play. They're not going to win Champions League, and they're not going to win La Liga. And even with all these signings, still, realistically, they're not a team that is at the same level, certainly of Barcelona, and at their best, they're not at the level of Real Madrid. And so I think we have to have realistic expectations of what Atletico Madrid should be.
Yeah, and we talk about all these signings. One of them, Ademola Lookman. Robbo, what did you make of that?
Well, we've seen him play well for Atalanta. He's a striker that's got that little bit of pace. He can play wide. He can play in the number 10 role. He can play as an out-and-out centre forward. I don't think that's where he will play. Or he can play on the right-hand side. He's a good player. He's been inconsistent over the years, but when he's on form, and he's had some very good seasons, he's an outstanding player. Will he add something more to Atletico Madrid? We've said that about a lot of front players or wide players that have gone to Atletico Madrid and then they've not had the freedom to go and play. So we'll have to see what sort of impact he has. But I hope he does have an impact because he is a good player.
Robbo, let me stay with you and I'll go around to all of you on this question. Is Barcelona a serious contender for a treble as they finish top 8 in the Champions League phase? They're now in the Copa del Rey semis and Madrid don't look like they will win La Liga, though they are 1 point behind. Or is Barca's high line not good enough for the Champions League?
They've got a chance. You know, we keep criticising it and I sort of say sometimes it's flawed. But they do it well enough and often enough, and teams don't seem to exploit it well enough, often enough, to cause Barcelona enough problems for them not to win games. And they are brilliant at creating chances. They are the most fluent football team that there is at the moment. They score goals from nowhere. They can outpass teams. They make forward runs. They find chances when a team is on a low press. They make chances when teams try and press them. So all the time they're making chances, they can go and win the treble.
Stevie?
Well, the favourites to win Liga, the favourites to win Copa del Rey, and they are absolutely serious contenders to win the Champions League. So yeah, it's possible they can do it. It'll be the timing of it. You know, there's no question that they're going to get caught out in all those 3 competitions with that line, and they will get caught out. It just depends when they get caught out. If it's a big moment in a game and they get caught out, Champions League particularly, I think teams in Champions League, right now should be thinking about how to break it down, and it really isn't that difficult. It's a late run, it's a third man run in behind, and right now it looks as though they can't cope with that. But if they're 3-0 up and somebody catches them, it doesn't matter. So it really is the timing of when somebody takes advantage of that high line.
LA?
Yeah, I think it's fair to remind people, and adequate to remind people that they were seconds, maybe minutes away from going into Champions League final last year. That for all the concerns that we may have, and I think the concerns that we have as former players is, man, this seems like suicide defending. It goes against anything and everything that we would have been taught about defending. And believe me, I have no affiliation with Barcelona, no connection with Barcelona, and I watch them play, and it's stressful to watch them play defensively. But at the same time, because I have no affiliation and no connection to Barcelona, while it is stressful to watch them play defensively, it's also quite entertaining. So for entertainment value, we need Barcelona to go as deep as they want and they can in the Champions League, because they'll be a team that will allow goals and will score goals.
Would Nico Schlotterbeck be a good option for Barcelona to strengthen their backline in the summer?
I'll take that as a no.
I already know the answer to this one, but I'm interested to see.
You know what? I tell you what. I want to hear Stewie's take on Nicol Schlotterbeck.
Okay, Stuart Robson.
Okay. Well, this season I think he's done slightly better, but for the last 2 or 3 seasons, he's what I call a gambler. He'll gamble on running up to play offside. He'll gamble at sliding in. He'll gamble at trying to win the ball in front of defenders. He makes so many mistakes, and he's not, in my view, he's not a great centre-half. I don't think he'd be right for Barcelona. I think he'd make too many mistakes. He's a good centre-half that's going to make mistakes. Not right for Barcelona with the high line that they play.
I wholeheartedly, 100% agree. The last thing that you want if you're a Barcelona fan, player, teammate, is a guy who takes gambles when your whole setup is already a gamble. The way that you play is already a gamble. You don't need to gamble anymore. What you need is a defender that actually is disciplined, that can read the game, that can anticipate when a ball is about to be played, that can, instead of having to gamble, that his reading of the game forces that ball to have to be perfect in order to get behind him. The posture of Barcelona right now already is a gamble. You don't need any more of it.
Okay, no, I think that was loud and clear. Apparently we've got a surprise from the producer for the end of the show. Yeah. I'm not sure what it is myself, so let's see.
Okay. Well, that's
Rob's dad, isn't it?
Wait a minute.
I tell you
What about the part? The part on the right side?
I'll tell you what. Yeah.
Hey, Robbo, have you got a picture?
No, I don't want any comments, please. Yeah.
Have you got a picture of your father in the 70s?
Oh, man.
Paul Mariner in the 70s, did you say?
I'd say that's Robbo in Woodstock right there.
I like that.
I think you look better with Martin on the other side, Robbo.
I think he looks better as he is.
I used to have the parting on the other side. I used to be able to give it the old quiff over, the old wedge. Do you remember the wedge haircut?
Oh, why?
That's what they did to me today.
Yeah, that one.
Up, back and swoosh.
You look great as you are, Robbo. Don't be stealing my hair.
Robbo would be.
Thank you very much.
Robbo looked like he would be sporting a ponytail with that. That's nice.
Thank you so much for sending in your questions and giving Robbo some hair for the day. We'll see you next time.